Good morning. I'm jslosson, the old math guy down the hall. And today I would like to share with you what I call my lab measuring A. It's a simple thing. We're going to learn to measure to the nearest inch and the nearest half inch. Kids never argue with me about learning fractions if it's involved a ruler. They all know they're going to need to measure something. Well, most of them know they're going to need to measure someday. Some of them will quibble with you. And it's a great way to reintroduce them to the fractions they have forgotten or never learned, and to review the ruler that they forgot if they ever learned it at all. I am going to ask you, though, if you're going to teach the ruler as a way to teach fractions, let's not jump into the deep end of the pool. Let's tip our toe down in the shallow end and work our way towards the back. I'll show you what I mean. If we were to hand our kids a ruler or one of these tape measures and say, hey, draw a line that's 4 5/8 inches long, we are not going to be very successful. They're going to get angry, get sad, quit, give up, or leave the room. It's not going to be a pretty thing. We've got to start with less information. We're going to give our kids special rulers. Notice A only has whole inches and half inches. And notice how they're marked down. They don't have to guess. And then ruler B actually has the quarter marks in between. So we've eliminated a lot of that visual noise of all those little extra marks for the 16ths. And we're going to start them off doing some simple measuring. First thing they'll need to do is cut out their rulers so they're usable. You kind of have to assess the class. If I've got squirrely little 7th graders, I'll probably go with those. If I've got freshmen in high school, I'll probably go with those. You make whatever choice is appropriate, but you don't have time to cut these all out yourself unless you have a TA that could do it. That would be swell. You can just make the first cut with scissors, or the gap's big enough, you can just go ahead and do it on a paper cutter. They, however, will need to make that cut pretty close to one edge. As always, we start out with a little vocabulary, then some instructions. And we're going to ask them to estimate how long they think the first line is, and then we're going to ask them to actually measure it with a ruler. And so the students continue through the sheet. They make an estimate or a guess, and then they go ahead and measure it. Notice it says closest to, and they don't seem to have any trouble realizing that's closer to 4 than 4.5. And so the students progress through the lab, they make a guess, and then they measure to the nearest inch. They don't seem to have much problem with this part at all. Then we use ruler B, and we go ahead and make our estimates and then measure to the nearest half inch, and that usually goes pretty well. And there is a 4th page, and that just about wraps up the lesson. That takes about an hour. It's not just your kids that don't know how to measure. Some TA who was in the pre-calc class came in, and he was kind of hassling my kids about, oh, you're studying measuring. But I had this junior girl who's in orchestra and AP English, not very good at math, and she just looked at him and said, Calvin, walk over here and show me how to measure 4 5/8. I bet you can't do it. Calvin left the room. He didn't want to tangle with her. But all of our kids don't know how to measure. We don't stress it very much. This is a great lab for them. So, not a real complicated lab, pretty simple. Kids find it not threatening, they're willing to work, and from this we can springboard into fractions and simplifying fractions. And who knows, maybe we could even figure out how to add 5/8 to 1/4. I want to thank you folks for watching these videos. I don't make any money on them. It's just for the love of teaching and helping our kids out. I want to remind you that you are the magic. The materials are not the magic. You are the person who makes the difference in these kids' lives. Thanks for watching. If you'd like a copy of today's lab, just continue watching after the closing credits. I'll put each page up for 4 or 5 seconds, and you can pause it and grab a screenshot. If you'd like an even cleaner copy, email me, jim@prealgebra.net, and I will send you a PDF that has the lab and the answer key.